On today's episode of Identity, information systems specialist Terrina Govender pops by for coffee. We spend a day with members of the Diepkloof Dojo in Soweto, Johannesburg. What's Happening features the review of a beef recipes app and a movie about soccer legend Pele. And we wrap up the show with a track from Musa featuring Robbie Malinga.
I am an individual with an imagination. My inner faith illuminates innovations. In a space with infinite inspiration, I was born free from all incarceration. Incredible, living infallibly, intelligent, outshine with my inner being. This is me, impeccable as ever been. I am you, you are me. This is my identity.
Botani Mzansi, namkelekile kwenye ikawe esikelekileyo khonapha ku SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Nibukele Identity ndingumsasazi wenu uViwe Gxwala. As the Identity team, we aim to empower and provide you with spiritual tools to help you on your own spiritual journey, as well as to learn about our beautiful and diverse Mzansi. To help get us started, let's meet today's coffee shop guest. Technology expert, innovator, volunteer, and social entrepreneur are just some of the ways Terrina Govender can be described. Born and raised in Durban, she enrolled at the University of Cape Town to study information systems after matric. Fresh out of university, Govender landed her first job at Google, where she was exposed to the power of data and its ability to change the world. In 2015, she launched Data Life Africa, a social enterprise that works to create dialogue and heal social trauma in developing countries. She recently worked on #MySAVote, a campaign to encourage civic youth participation in the past municipal elections. I invited her over for a chat and cupcakes, and to my delight, she obliged. Terrina, welcome to Identity.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's start off by finding out about your childhood. What was your upbringing like?
So I grew up in Durban, and interestingly enough, I think I had quite a diverse group of people around me, because just after apartheid ended, my parents moved neighborhoods, which, as you know, would have been quite something at that point. So we moved to quite a mixed neighborhood, and I grew up with these all quite different influences, which I think really, really shaped who I am as a person and, you know, how I view the world.
And tell us about your spirituality. How was it introduced, and what role does it have in your life right now?
I think I have a bit of a unique sense of spirituality in that I feel influenced by a lot of the reading that I did, especially as a child. And I mean, the strongest guiding force is my sense of self in orientation to the rest of the world. So what does that mean? I basically, and you know, it's aligned with a lot of you know, sort of like spiritual and religious understanding, but you lay out what's important to you in your life and your value systems, and then you just try and ascribe to those and like live a life that's in accordance to that.
Let's get into information systems. What led you to that field, and what exactly is information systems?
Sure, it was a strange story. So just after school, if you get certain marks and you're a certain type of person, people are like, okay, you should do this, you should go to UCT, you should study accounting, and that will set you up for your life. So that's what I did. Packed my bags, I went to UCT, and I got there and I hated it. I hated accounting, I hated finance, I hated all of it. I wasn't doing very well. And one day I picked up my transcript and I looked at it, and I was doing fairly terribly on a lot of my subjects except one, and that was information systems. And a friend of mine said to me, he was like, well, why don't you look into doing that? You're obviously good at it. And I'd been coding for years. I coded all through school. And that was the first point I really like considered it. And I took a bit of a leap of faith and ended up changing majors and haven't looked back since. What information system is, in the context that I studied it, it's a mix of technology and business, and how to use these systems to make strengthen structural issues. Companies, just generally to have good information will improve decision making and, you know, push us into the 21st century and a developing economy.
All right, so you spoke about, you know, your school life and how you felt that, you know, some of the subjects you didn't do well in. What advice would you give to a young person who wants to get into the career that you're in? What subjects should they take in high school, and what tertiary qualifications should they aim for?
So definitely CAT, which is computer aided technology, or straight IT. Technology is a huge field, so I mean there's a million things you could do, but those two will hold you in good stead. I think an interest in it is also key. So one of the big things, a lot of people, and I've taught coding, and I've like tutored and lectured as well, and a lot of people are like, how do I do this really well? And it's really just fiddling. It's just being curious and tinkering and like figuring out how to take things apart and put it back together. But from a very practical standpoint, I'd say at school, maths also helps. So IT and CAT, and then at varsity, information systems, computer science, maths and stats.
All right.
They all help.
Let's talk about Data Life Africa. Such an interesting name. How did it come about and what inspired its inception?
Oh, so I was working in America, and I was working on this big project where we were trying to create digital inclusion in emerging markets, and that just means that we're trying to figure out how to use technology to make people's lives better. And I was working with these huge organizations, and I just saw so many problems, and they really frustrated me. But these people working on like a government, it was a very high government institutional level, but I could see these breakdowns on a grassroots level, like from a day-to-day perspective. And it pushed me to the point where I was like, I need to do something about this, because people aren't working at the bottom, people are trying to work at the top, and I can do something at the bottom. The name for the company actually came about whereas I needed to submit something, and I was about to get on a flight for 6 hours, and I was like, what would be the best way to convey this essence? And I'm like, data equals life. Where am I going to work with this? Africa, Data Life Africa. And that's how it came about. It was a flight from San Francisco to New York, and I submitted that, got on the flight, and never looked back.
So you're definitely an innovator, which leads me to my next question. You were nominated as a Global Young Innovator. Please tell us about that, and what did it mean for you?
Oh, it was a really big thing in my life, because it was the first time that someone backed me to do something. So the the Young Innovators program, they identify young people who they think can use their ideas to solve big global issues, and then they give you they put resources behind you to try and further that. And that was the big thing for me, that someone recognized that you are a South African female, but you have the ability to do something beyond yourself, and we believe in you. And that's really what it meant for me, and that positive inertia has just followed through.
Yeah. And you're speaking about positivity. You recently are involved in your initiative, #MySA_Vote. Please tell us about it.
People were just constantly complaining that the youth don't believe in this, and the youth are apathetic, and we fought for their freedom. There was just like a lot of complaining going around. And I really started to look around, and I was like, are the youth apathetic? And I was like, no, they're not. Sure. If you look at roads must fall, fees must fall, if you look at a lot of the dialogue that's been going on with the youth right now, you'll see that they have opinions and they want to be heard. It's just the way that traditional politics engages them is not the way that they want to be engaged. So what my essay vote tried to do was to get young people to understand how and what makes them tick, and how to get them to go to the polls and actually cast their ballot. Because at the last election, only 1 in 3 born-frees vote.
Sure.
Only 1 in 3 born-frees were registered to vote. I mean, that's a huge problem. And it was an open source movement. So we worked with the IEC, the World Economic Forum, the Desmond Tutu Foundation, where everyone just pitched in what they could. And then we made a campaign out of it and just tried to drive this change, and I think we'll continue to do so for the national election as well.
Terrina, you get involved in so many different projects. How important is it for you to volunteer, and how does it mold you to be the young woman that you are today?
It's going to sound like everyone says this, but everyone says it's because it's true. Volunteering has humbled me, and it makes you check your ego and your privilege at the door. I've worked abroad in India. I worked in an orphanage there, and then in South Africa now, mostly with youth, actually exclusively with youth. And you make the time. You stop watching TV, you reprioritize, you wake up early, you go to sleep later. Like, there are always ways to do, if you really want to do something, you'll do it. So I mean, it makes you appreciate what you have.
Makes you more grateful, right?
Oh, so much so.
Yeah. Before I let you go, I'd like to play a quick word game with you.
Sure.
So, are you ready for it?
Yeah.
All right. And the game is called Would You Rather. All right. Would you rather have a rewind button or a pause button in your life?
Definitely a pause.
Okay. Be an item in a lady's handbag or be an item in a man's boots?
Definitely ladies' handbag.
Live in eternal summer or eternal winter?
Summer.
Okay. Would you rather only be able to travel everywhere using a tuk-tuk or a skateboard?
Tuk-tuk.
Have no teeth or no taste buds?
No teeth.
Terrina, thank you so much for joining us on I-Dentity. You're such an inspiration. Please keep it up.
Thank you so much.
In the words of sociologist and Harvard professor Daniel Bell, technology, like art, is a soaring exercise of the human imagination. Thank you to Terrina Govender for that inspirational chat, and we wish her success as she continues to innovate technology that will make a difference for generations to come. Lixesha lokuba sezibhenkileni xa sibuya siye Diepkloof eSoweto kuyoba nomdlalo we-martial arts. Kwaye ningaphoswa sisiqendu sethu se-media review esibonisa i-app yokupheka nomboniso bhanyabhanya obonisa umhlahlindlela womdlali webhola uPele. Siyabuya ngoku.
This is my identity. This is my identity.
Namkelekile kwakhona nisabukela i-Identity kunye nam uViwe Gxwala khonapha ku-SABC 1 Mzansians. Enkosi ngokuhlala nathi. Today's regional story takes us to the streets of Diepkloof, Soweto, where we spent a day practicing traditional meditation and karate with members of Diepkloof Dojo. Take a look at this fascinating story.
This is my identity.
The Japanese martial arts sport of karate has long been associated with strengthening the body and the mind, as well as instilling self-control and discipline. When Sensei Thabo Mulubi started the Diepkloof Dojo in Soweto, his aim was to impart these principles into the lives of the children in his community.
I discovered my passion while I was still at school because I started karate at a very young age as well. So after completing school, obviously I felt that there was a need for me to instill this skill of karate in and around the area of Diepkloof because it's such a disciplined sport. I started teaching karate as a sensei in the year 2010. And then I started my own club. Karate is definitely suitable for kids and women, especially in terms of self-defense. Yes, because you gotta I don't encourage my students to fight, but to protect yourself and defend yourself if a need arises, especially for women nowadays. Traditional karate, it's more of your in-depth ways of doing karate, and we've got now what we call a sport karate, of which involves most of kids attending tournaments. So that's where you differentiate between the two. So the more traditional way of karate, it's called Budo, and then we've got now what we call a sport karate, of which is mainly have to do with tournaments. Karate helps one to balance their emotions in a very good way, in that it can instill discipline in oneself, so you can easily control your emotions when a need arises, like if you're becoming too emotional, so it helps a lot.
Karate is yes, art of self-defense, but also means of self-improvement. So you practice karate for fighting, but eventually you come not fighting, but fight with yourself to improve yourself. And state of mind is very important. And the meditation calm you and improve your concentration. So meditation improves your karate. Karate is for life. And when you're young, you do competition. Yeah, but then after maybe 30 years old or something, you should retire from the competition and concentrate on the more traditional study of art and karate. When you practice karate and especially in the fighting situation, when you're fighting with a partner, you have to empty your mind. So meditation helps karate and karate helps meditation. So it helps each other.
I used to watch movies of Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee, stuff like that. Then it used to inspire me. Then I told my mom, like one day, Mom, I want to join karate. For me, it took me 3 months to understand the basic combinations and the key and ipo and stuff like that. When I joined karate, it taught me discipline and respect. I liked karate when I was 4 years, and I was watching when they are practicing, and I made it myself. I'm the only girl in karate because it makes me proud and happy. I want to grow and be the master like Sensei Tumyam.
Karate disciplined me a lot because I don't get involved into fights, although I know how to fight. And then I don't drink, and then I don't smoke. I think those peers who are involved in drugs and are drinking liquor should get involved in sports, even though it's not karate, but any other sport. Young stars doing sports helps a lot because it drives us out of such things as alcohol, and it keeps your body fit.
There's a lot of nyaupe going on. There's a lot of kids who are staying out late doing God knows what. And I believe it has helped so many kids believe in themselves and find something that they have a purpose to do other than staying out late and doing things that are not right. It's different, and kids tend to love it. You know, it's you look at them wearing their gear, they wear it with pride.
The kids of this group, they are very disciplined, they have respect, and they are very dedicated in what they are doing. My son has always been a reserve child, so since joining this group, I can say he has made more friends, and he's learned a lot from this group. Compared to the way he was before, and now there's a huge difference. I'll be happy if I can see the whole of them going to England in future, partaking in other countries, not only South Africa.
The reason why I'm doing this thing passionately is to get these youngsters out of the streets and also keep them busy with karate. And I'm proud to say, you know, ever since I started this, like the youngsters that you see here are very dedicated in karate. And I am fortunate enough to have them representing the country at the national level. And that is not just a small achievement, it's a very huge achievement.
This is my identity.
Enkosi ku-Sensei Thabo Mulubi namalunga e-Diepkloof Dojo ngokusivumela sibone ibali labo. Should you also have an inspiring religious or cultural community story to share, simply drop us a detailed email on identitytvshow@gmail.com, and we might just take a short lift to your area soon. Let's take one more short break. When we come back, we jump straight into our media review segment. Today we're reviewing an app that will help make your life much easier in the kitchen, as well as a movie based on the life of a retired soccer star Pele. We'll be right back.
This is my identity. This is my identity.
Welcome back to Identity right here on SABC 1 Mzansians. I'm Viwe Gxwala. Inkqubo namhlanje iqale ngendlela eyakhanayo ngekofu, icake nencoko eqaqambileyo nomqambi nosomashishini uTerina Govender. Salibhekisa eDiepkloof eSoweto ukuyobona umdlalo we-martial arts namalunga eDiepkloof Dojo. Lixesha ngoku lokubona ezibonwayo, nanku what's happening. Most people saw through the preparation of chicken-based meals, but when it comes to beef preparation, it can be somewhat of a challenge. While today's app should come in handy in this department, it's an app that provides you with easy-to-make beef-based meals. It's called Beef Easy. The Beef Easy app is a collection of handy, tried and tested beef-based recipes as prepared by professional chefs. To help get you started, the app lands you on the occasion page, which gives options such as Simply Asia, Let's Do Italian, Proudly South African, and just something light. Select your preferred occasion and pick a recipe that catches your eye. Each recipe offers preparation time, cooking time, and a detailed list of ingredients. You can can also increase the number of servings according to the number of people you'd like to feed. The app then generates ingredient quantities and cooking instructions based on your selection. The step-by-step instructions come with a handy timer option to help make sure you neither overcook nor undercook your meal. Loved the meal you prepared? Then favorite it using the star option at the top right corner of your screen, and you can refer to the recipe at a later stage by selecting the Favorites tab. Not sure what you're in the mood for? Then select the Popular tab for a list of the top rated recipes. If you've tried your hand at most of the recipes, or you're yet to find one that whets your palate, then select the Newest Recipes tab. Use the Search tab to find a recipe of your choice by using an ingredient or a category. Whether you're a trained chef or a culinary novice, the Beef Easy app is sure to make your meals a hit with family and friends. That's certainly a versatile app to have. Now on to our next review. Today we check out a movie about a soccer player who's been on the field for over 20 years, a man considered the greatest player of all time, Pele. His life story is revealed to us in this interesting film called Pele, Birth of a Legend.
Now is a critical time for our country. Ever since we lost the cup in 50, we become ashamed.
Based on the life of soccer legend Pele, this movie is an inspiring tale that follows the life of the rising Brazilian soccer star. From being a young boy from a poverty-stricken background to leading Brazil to its first World Cup victory at the age of 17, the movie takes us through the highs and lows of young Pele's life as he pursues his dream.
He's only 15. He's never even left Bauru.
I can't play like the other guys.
What's wrong with not playing the way the other guys do? Show us what happens when you have the courage to embrace who.
Starring Kevin De Paula as Pele and Vincent D'Onofrio as his manager and coach, the film tells a story of self-acceptance, courage and determination. If you're looking for an inspiration-packed movie peppered with real-life lessons, then be sure to watch Pele, Birth of a Legend.
Sifike ekugqibeleni kwenkqubo yanamhlanje ye-Identity. Sithemba ukuba neliselekile emoyeni njengoba nizawuqala le veki. Xhumana nathi kwi-social media yethu. Funani nje Identity TV Show ku-Facebook, ku-Twitter okanye ku-Instagram nje kanjalo sixhumene. Uba social media ayonto yakho ncam, suba nexhala. Ningasithumela incwadi kwidilesi yethu identitytvshow@gmail.com. Today we're playing out with Musa featuring Robbie Malinga. Here is their song called Mthande. From me, Viwe Gxwala and the Identity team, see you next week. Goodbye.